Wonderful first session. It might be hard to top that. Trevor, who's up next. We have Trevor Boland next, who is, just full disclosure, used to work at Ahead, but doesn't anymore. He's moved on. But he's going to be talking about never mind the never mind the AI. Sorry, let's get AT embedded first. So I see you there, Trevor. Just see the top of your head. There you
Oh,
are.
sorry, there we go. Choosing the right camera. Thanks so much. I know. And it's great to be here. And thanks so much. And thank you, Danielle, for your patience. I was a tiny bit late with the slides, so I got there eventually. I know. So the slides are available up in the webpage as well, which is great. So big thanks to that. And for the next hour, I know I feel like I have to apologize. An hour with Trevor, even my family, can't even cope with that. But we're going to try to endure me for the next hour. But within what I'm going to say, there's kind of two halves to the presentation. One, unfortunately, is PowerPoint, where I'm going to try to share a few insights about what I'm seeing just in universities about students and how they're either using technology or not using technology, and maybe a little bit even about their digital literacy skills that I'm spotting. And then the second half is about showing you a resource that I've made called Compass, because really it's about advocating these assistive technologies that are mainstreamed in Google and Microsoft. And we have both Google and Microsoft here in DCU. So it's fantastic. We have loads of choice. So like in terms of UDL, that big core message about UDL, which is given choice, like we definitely have an abundance of choice when it comes to students and what technologies they use. And what I'm going to do is maybe talk less and show my slides more. Oh, sorry, can I just share my screen?
Should be
Brilliant.
set up there now.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. So I'm just going to go into presentation mode. So that's okay. That's coming through, is it? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm the Assistive Technology Officer in DCU, but I've been working within the area of technology for 10 years, and it's been amazing. We're seeing loads of changes in 10 years in universities, new options, new powerful technologies coming in, the evolution of technologies in Google and Microsoft as well. Students having more options in terms of assistive technology in their personal devices like iPads and their smartphones. It's amazing. So it's great. So here today, I am hopefully, if my title decides to come back, is to talk about how the title is just refusing to go up. So never mind the AI. Let's embed the assistive technology first. So in universities, there is obviously quite a bit of chat about AI, and it's terrific to talk about it because there's loads of pros and cons to it. And I suppose a year ago, I would have been maybe a little bit pessimistic about AI in terms of its use in universities. But talking to students, they've convinced me that AI has a place. So I'm coming around. I'm about 90% of the way there. So in terms of the positives that students are saying about AI, they use it maybe to get ideas for heading structures, about their assignments and how to bring direction to their assignments. Another student was telling me about how they even use AI to do spelling and grammar checks on their writing. I was like, that sounds pretty good. That sounds great. Some of them just for ideas about how to get started on assignments if they just have a block. So in terms of procrastination, some students are using it as kind of a way of dealing with procrastination, which I would have never thought of before in terms of using AI. But if it has that space for someone, I'm happy to chat about that. And then in terms of the assistive technologies, like I just mentioned, we've never had so much assistive technology, or whatever you call it, whether you call it inclusive technology, whether you call it technology. People use different names for it, but essentially at the end of the day, it's about assisting or helping us to do an activity, just to do an activity or to do an activity better. So I would have been quite separate about how I saw the two, evolving. And then over the last year, I suppose I've allowed myself, given myself permission to really explore that relationship between AT and AI. And one of the examples of a tool that we use that really, I think, showcases this marriage between AT and AI is a tool called Glean. And we advocate it for our students as it allows them to record the audio for their classes. Also, they can upload the slides as well to it. So it becomes this one-stop shop of where you store your slides, record audio that's linked to your slides. And what they've added is a few extra features, which I'd love to demonstrate, but that's a whole other presentation in itself. And Glean also makes amazing transcripts of the audio recording. So you can choose to read or listen to the recording. That's perfectly fine. And then they've added an incredible new addition, which is a quiz option. So the AI within Glean will generate a quiz of the content of the class, and you can revise the content by answering the questions that gleans from the recording of what you just kind of learned in class. So it's a really powerful way of now becoming not only a recording tool, but actually even a quiz tool to help you revise the content, check that you know what you learned as well. So in terms of a self-assessment tool, is quite powerful. So that for me is really kind of swung me about how AT and AI have a great partnership. But I don't want to sound too positive about AI because I'm still, that little percentage of me is still a little bit cautious, because what I do see is students now possibly using online AT tools to bypass things like Google and that before, where at least when we searched for options or sources, we would have been, maybe a little bit critical about it. But say, because the AI tools are so powerful, there is a temptation, and I fall into this trap myself even this year, where I just use AI to navigate or to search information on tools. And then I find out maybe some of it's not always 100% accurate as well. So I still think we have a long way to go with AI, but it definitely has potential. And then my main concern about AI is how I think it's almost like bypassing the need for some AT even, because it's so powerful. So within the last year or two in particular, I've noticed a few changes with students when it comes to assistive technology, especially within those options within Microsoft and Google. So I created a resource called Compass, and it sits in our Moodle platform here in DCU. So we call Moodle Loop here in DCU. So it was created because even though we have never had such an abundance of technology, still, after 10 years of working in universities advocating about these assistive technologies in Google and Microsoft, I still am coming up with maybe gaps in students' knowledge or awareness about them. And part of me is still always trying to figure out, like, why is that the case where it's never been embedded? And what's interesting about AI is that it's been so fast and powerful to evolve in universities and in education, with really very little advocating, but assistive technology has never had the same weight in terms of how powerful the message has spread about it. So within the Compass tool, really the message is simple about how to navigate these inclusive technologies. And just in my own context in DCU, because I'm seeing still a gap in students' level awareness about maybe even the dictation tools in Google Docs and Microsoft. And I'm just wondering, do people out there have you all explored? I'm guessing because this is an assistive technology audience, you're probably all like, yeah, done dictation in Google before, used immersive reader in Word. So I'm guessing you have all had these experiences before where there's an awareness by you of these. But for some reason, not so much in the student population. So this is a very quick video, a quick snapshot um, of what Compass is like. So I've used H5P to make it, and a little later we're going to see H5P in use. I've created a menu of all these different things that we can find within the options that I give. So this is just specifically looking at the Microsoft tools. And then when we go to it, I've discovered by talking to students over the years, I have a particular bias towards video. I love learning by video. I think it's incredible. But some students don't necessarily have the same opinion as me about how video is absolutely amazing. And that's okay. So taking on the UDL message about giving choice, I've embedded choice into every single page that's about one assistive technology that can be found. So there's 3 hotspots on every page, and each hotspot represents a particular mode of how to learn about one of these tools. So the first hotspot is about text. Some students still like to learn by text, and that's okay. Um, so we can click off that. And the middle option is always about an image and text. So there's an image with instructions, in this case, about how to use immersive reader, and that's okay. Um, so if students want to learn that way, they just go for it. And then the last option is about a video. So we can then explore that video about an immersive reader and learn about that tool that way. So all the options have all these 3 modes available to each student. So they can pick their own learning style, they can just go to it. So that took a little while to assemble. But what I want to say is my core message with this is that like I'm sharing these H5P files with the community. So you can take these H5P files and you can upload it to your own. If you have Moodle, you can use it. If you have Brightspace, if you have Canvas, whatever LMS that you have in your own institution. Once there's H5P available in it, so whoever your administrator is, make sure you might just have a little chat with him or her, or they, and then they can add that to their LMS platform. And then you can upload H5P files and edit them. So there might be just a little bit of background work to do before you do anything with the files. So that's it in terms of what Compass looks like. But as I said, I'll just go into that a little bit more then. Um, and then, so I'm sharing those files with the community. So there's a QR code, and also I'm adding the link to Dropbox within the chat. So you can immediately like link them, they're available to the public, and then you can either start or explore them yourselves then. And I'll even demonstrate how to upload them to your own Moodle platform as well. Just because like some people might be a bit nervous, and if that's a barrier, don't worry about it. We're going to deal with that. Okay. So just a little bit about it, because I want to talk about the individual tools and what I'm seeing with students. So the great thing about DCU Compass is that we're imparting just some technology tips. So not only is it just about assistive technology, but one thing I'm noticing, and if you're noticing this as well, um, then feel free to share it because I don't want to hope it's just me seeing this, is that I'm seeing in some ways a decline about digital literacy. And I've got loads of stories about individual students and what I'm spotting with them. So even one was about a fourth-year student who just literally used his downloads folder for 4 years while he was in college. And just a few weeks ago, while he was just about to finish his course, he was wondering how to transfer all 900 of his files in his downloads folder to his Google Drive. And that to me, for a fourth year, is kind of like a fundamental digital literacy kind of issue right there, just about a student just not knowing that. And then even uploading the files to Google Drive, he just had this block that if files weren't a Google document of a sort, then they couldn't be uploaded because he had Microsoft Office Word and PowerPoint. And then he didn't quite get how, you know, uploading these files to Google Drive was actually okay, that you can upload them and store them that way as well. So that I'm experiencing loads of these kind of just digital literacy issues. And then unfortunately, what's coming about with a lot of these digital literacy matters that are arising, that without this foundation, digital foundation about how to use Microsoft and how to use Google, that's becoming a barrier to some of the students then using really those assistive technologies within the ecosystem. So that's why I'm going to be evolving Compass a little bit more to tackle some of these digital literacy issues, because I hadn't foreseen that being such a barrier now in the students. And if anyone has any thoughts about why that's the case, where digital literacy is becoming more and more so of a barrier, I have a few suspicions anecdotally. But yeah, happy to share any of those with you. And then in terms of dictation tools, like I said, dictation tools now are becoming so available. But I think 10 years ago when we got Google in what was called DIT. I just thought it was amazing. I thought dictation or voice typing in Google was going to change how all students work, having that option freely available. And it turns out it hasn't really changed. And I find after 10 years, I'm still talking about Google voice typing and dictation after 10 years. And that's okay. Like telling people about it. I'm just wondering why still after 10 years it hasn't really become this mainstreamed piece of way of working that's embedded like in how students think and work. And then when it comes to smartphones, in particular reading, and this has really kind of come about in the last year and a half that I'm seeing like longer commutes by students. For example, one of our students who's blind, he does a 2 hour commute each way every time he has to attend college. So he's got 4 hours in total commute time a day. And then within that time, I'm trying to advocate not only to him, but to other students who have long commutes, as we're seeing, like, accommodation being costly, that the challenges of commuting are just getting higher, that they maximize that time while they commute using some of the reading tools embedded into their phones. And as I'm finding, they aren't aware that these exist because they're not exploring those accessibility options on their devices. And as a result, then they're kind of just missing those opportunities to maximize their commute time. Because what's happening is that then when they get home, they're tired, and then they're trying to study or revise for the next day. And then we're seeing that there's kind of a vicious cycle there that they're not as able because the longer commutes are kind of really eroding their time. And then even other things, documents into audio. We have census access in DCU, which is amazing. Um, and if anyone hasn't heard of Census Access, it's a fantastic online tool. It's one of the things that it does is converts documents into audio. And then another thing that it does is allows documents to be converted into other formats as well. But what I'm finding with students, it's a tough sell with students. Um, so even though audio is incredibly powerful and another way of maximizing your time commuting, it's a great way of just thinking about how our learning styles exist. So if we're fantastic at listening, then that audio format is amazing. So then trying to get our students to think about their learning styles is quite a challenge as well. And then those kind of online tools. So I suppose for me, one of my go-to online tools is going online to Words using Immersive Reader. And again, I'm finding that, oh, what was the name of that? Oh yeah, Greg, sorry, it's called Census Access. So it's paid. There's a number of free ones out there as well. Blackboard do a free websitey one. Blackboard Ally have one. So Greg, if you email me at trevor.boland@dcu.ie, I know I have the link somewhere, but I know if I go searching now, that'll take about 10 minutes. Um, that's okay though. Um, so what I'm finding is those online tools. So even students being aware that those those kind of ways of even navigating Microsoft Office 365 online isn't necessarily, or when I say necessarily, I would say the majority don't know they have that option of exploring their Microsoft tools. Never mind then, that immersive reader exists in Word, because as we're seeing, I'm seeing that's definitely there's a rise in the need of proofreading. Because when I do talks, even with students in classes, I'm very honest about my own flaws when it comes to studying and learning. And as a result, then students are honest back to me. Um, so what I do with my in-class presentations, I talk to students how about the challenges I would have experienced in college with essay writing and that, and then I ask them quite blunt questions. As I'm finding is kind of always welcomed by students, is that asking them like what kind of organizational methods do they have, in particular how many have no organizational methods. And typically if the class is about 30 to 50, I get about 2/3 of the students putting up their hand when it comes to that they have no organizational method. Also, when I ask students about their knowledge or awareness of immersive reader, typically a very small number are aware of it. And then when I talk to students about proofreading, again, there's a very small proportion of students that I'm finding in classes that actually proofread their assignments. And more often than not, they're doing the assignments last minute and getting it in. So that's why I really am trying to advocate tools like Immersive Reader, because it's a powerful reading tool that not only supports that reading and comprehension, but also just helping them with that proofreading or proof listening part of their assignments that keeps coming up in the work that I'm doing. So again, if you're seeing the same, by all means, uh, feel free to mention it in the chat box. I'd love to hear other people's experiences. And then in terms of organization, some of the ways that I'm seeing students kind of maybe not necessarily having skills when it comes to organization is simple tools like bookmarking in the browser. And again, this is one of the questions I ask in student groups about, you know, how many have an organizational approach, and very few do. And then when I show them, so in class, how to use Google Chrome, how to use the bookmarking system, how to create folders for your bookmarks, that for the majority of the students in the group, that is becoming kind of a first time experience for them. And that's kind of just taking me back in terms of digital literacy. So really, I suppose in my own mind, I'm thinking of digital literacy as an iceberg. That 80 is the visible part on the top, but all this, the majority of the iceberg is underneath, and that's that core digital skills part. That's just becoming missing or lessened over time. So I see I have a question online. Kira, what way do you catalog or list all your AT options? I currently have all the AT options listed on a spreadsheet that's very inaccessible. Kira, that's a really good question. So my go-to message is to get students to use my own Compass resource. Because even if I'm finding like I have a list of things, I don't know if students are um kind of even say Googling whatever list or accessing the links there. So hence that's why I've made Compass and even just going into those three options where they can read, look at an image and read, or a video. Because I'm finding that is kind of dealing with that challenge. So basically giving them the array of information. But yeah, no, I don't know anymore. If even like links on a spreadsheet is enough anymore. Students know very little about AT or an assistive when entering further ed. Yeah, and definitely I think that's a piece just in terms of the schools. Now, I think the primary schools are working on a new kind of digital literacy aspect as well. And I've been told that accessibility is in it. Now, if I'm wrong, I only heard this the other day, but if I'm wrong, I apologize. But if anyone has more concrete information about that, I would love to know about it. So please link in with me. Oh, and Jess in ahead has quite mentioned that the AT Hive in ahead is has amazing repository of lots of different types of free and non-free assistive technologies that students can explore as well. Okay. Notion itself. Yeah, Greg, you're right. Notion. I'm hearing good things about Notion. So if anyone hasn't heard about it, it's a great kind of organizational tool. The only reason why I don't advocate Notion is that it's not coming out very positively in terms of accessibility. So for blind users, I actually stay away from it based on that. And it's a real shame because I think it's so good, but just in terms of the web accessibility directive and having accessibility inbuilt into not only our procurement but the tools that we use, I'm actually just staying away from Notion. If they become more accessible in terms of screen readers, then I would love that. So I hope that changes over time. Angela, do you have any issues with tutors or students not wanting to give consent for recording tools? Yeah, that's a good question because that was the bane of my life for many years. So Angela, what I'm finding is that we're getting better luck with Glean. Uh, one, from a student's point of view, it's all online and it saves all the recordings to the cloud. It's very easy to set up. You can literally set up a student within minutes, like as in if I said 2 minutes, that would be exaggerating. Um, and then where it's really powerful from the tutor's point of view or the lecturer's point of view is that the information is encrypted, it's stored, really well. Only the student knows the username and passwords. They can't download the audio, so they can't share the audio. So even when I do get lecturers who are just asking me about the tool, because there's an email template that I give students, so and they can email their lectures with this email template. And one of the things I do is I say in the email template, like, if you have any questions about Glean, contact Trevor Boland, the assistive technology, and I give the email. And I've had about 4 lecturers come to me, and I do a demonstration online with them, and I show them how locked down Glean is and how they can't share or download the information. And every time I've done that with a lecture, they come back and they're fine about it then. So it's great. So I mean, I'm sure there are other tools that are equally locked down. It's just that in DCU we use Glean, so we just stick. We're just finding that it's just working and addressing those kind of concerns. Um, okay. So happy to be interrupted. If anyone has a question, feel free to turn off your mic. I'm happy to chat about anything. That's okay. Is Glean free? No, it's not free. Um, I think definitely costs a few thousand. So we have a subscription for about 300 users. And because of the extra features that we have, like the transcription feature, so it turns the recording into transcriptions, and because of that AI generating quiz tool, I think it's about, I could be wrong, but I think 12 to 15K for 300 license. Um, but it's really powerful from an admin point of view. I can see who's using Glean and that. So there's a lot of pluses. So Angela, if you have any questions, I'm happy to chat afterwards about it. And by all means, just email me at trevor.boland@dcu.ie. Okay. Jess, is the percentage AI use will actually deepen the digital divide? Oh God, Jess, that's why did you ask me that question? It's a really good question. I think I don't know. Yes. All I know is that when I think of a graph, every time something goes up in the graph, something goes down in the graph. So I can see AI going up in a graph, and my worry is that AT might be the thing that goes down in the graph. Um, or even as I'm seeing digital skills are maybe lessening. Yeah, so I suppose that's one of the things that I suppose I'm even trying to forecast, even because some of the digital tools that we have, like our ClaraRead, an assistive technology tool that does many things, but it reads out text to students. And even as I'm finding that it's a really old school thing to show students now, because like it's a piece of software that you have to install, and there's a serial code and you have to copy and paste the serial code into ClaraRead, and the installation takes a few minutes. That these things are becoming kind of alien to students, and it's tougher to try and advocate those kind of tools then. And I suppose the comparison is Glean because it's online and you can set up a student fast. Students just seem to think that's the norm now. I don't know. So there's lots of changes even in terms of students' attitudes to technologies and wanting that instant tech solution that just happens like instantly. Um, but yeah, if anyone, again, if I'm totally wrong or off point, please by all means definitely challenge me. Um, so I give these slides to students as well. So when I ask students, how do you get started with Compass? I even give them the instructions, the step by step. So about going to Loop, searching for the word compass in our Moodle platform, and then when they search for it, they enroll into Compass. So there's even still a few blocks. Like I would love to put Compass on our website. And for anyone like with these SCORM files that I'm giving you, if you work in an organization that is happy to put H5P and embed it into their website, that would be amazing, because then you could have all that Compass resource just available on your web page. It'd be interactive. It's great. So I'm trying to get that done here. If anyone has had any luck with that, please, by all means, please get in touch with me, because it would make it far more easier for students to access the information if it was web-based rather than Moodle-based. And in step 4, we just ask students to explore the resource. And then even these slides, like I'm happy for people to use them. So if ye use Compass or you rename it into something, by all means take these slides, uh, turn them into your own message about how you use them in your own place. And then to support that knowledge of these inclusive technologies, we have a web page in DCU called DCU. It's in the students' webpage called Inclusive Technology, just to help buy in that message about inclusive technology and what it is and what these options look like as well. And you're free to repurpose that content for your own sakes as well. Okay, so I just see one or two questions. I've used dictation tools for notes when taking a lecture, slow and misunderstand words. Yeah, Sonia. So it's not always perfect, the dictation tools, but as I'm finding as well, because we have choice around some of these dictation tools, especially the free ones, some are definitely better than others. Um, so in Microsoft Office Word, there's a dictation tool. For some reason, that does not like my voice that much. I don't know why. I've persevered for 2 years. It's getting a little bit better. There's a little bit of AI behind it. So it should be a lot better at understanding my voice. But for some reason, Google Docs, we get on like a house on fire. I can dictate really quickly in Google Docs, and it almost gets everything word perfect. So when it comes to using dictation tools, I would say explore your options, see what you have available, and then from there, be critical about which one suits you the most or you're getting the most success with. And then if you have an iPhone, obviously, you've got a dictation on your iPhone and you can use notes to capture information as well. So choice is amazing now because even up to 10 years ago, we didn't have the same level of choice. But now we can be even a little bit fickle because we have these choices. So, Sonia, if you're not having a look in one, explore another. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're at the end of the presentation section, which is great. So, how are people doing? Are we okay? We're still awake. We're still alert. The coffee might be kicking in. Okay, so we're going to go for this part. So I'm just so you can still see my screen. You can see I'm in a loop page now. Can you?
Yeah, all
Yeah,
good.
perfect. Great. So this is what Compass looks like in our Moodle platform that we call Loop. So here we can see the side menu, and I have a welcome to Compass page. I'm hoping students go to the welcome page because it's really the keystone to help them understand the whole point of this. And then in each one, the Google tools, we see there's an array of the Google tools itself. So there's always new tools coming up, and some of them are assistive technology, like so the voice typing. Some of them aren't necessarily assistive technology, but are still just powerful tools. So the calendar I'm finding, because of what students are saying to me about organization and maybe needing more skills around it, that there's great potential to explore those kind of calendar options. So even there's an amazing YouTube video I found of a student who talks about how she uses Google Calendar, and it's a nursing student in Australia, and she's amazing. So that saved me first making a video myself. And if students hear the message from other students about using Google Calendar, I'm thinking, why not? Why not? Share that message about it. Um, Also using Google Keep. Many of these you probably know yourselves. If you don't know any of them, that's okay. You can explore those yourselves. In terms of the Microsoft tools, we see there's many options here about not only the online tools, but the Microsoft apps, what these can do. And what I'm finding is one of the key things that I'm coming up is students don't know about OneNote for note taking. And I'm really trying to advocate. I'm really going to push it hard next year. Because one of the observations that's being made by even lecturers is that the growing lack of note taking that's happening within classes. So again, if I'm totally off point, feel free to totally correct me. So what we're hoping is that maybe if students develop awareness about note-taking skills using something even like OneNote, even like Google Docs, at least then, as I'm even telling students, if you're bad at note taking, at least you have some notes. Because we have one third year student who's done no note taking for 3 years. and she's managed somehow to just barely pass assignments with no note taken in any classes. And now she's entering fourth year, and now she's kind of thinking, luckily that maybe she's not going to be able to wing it as much. So she's going to have to engage in note taking and recording, and we're helping with her, and she's having meetings with me, with our occupational therapist about how to organize her time. So if these are just alien situations that's just happening with myself, I suspect they're not. I'm expecting other people are seeing maybe these changes in students' habits. I think that'd be great just to share them as well. So even like spelling and grammar supports, lots of people just rely on the red line effect that happens in Word, but there's a specific editor tool as well in Word that we're trying to get students to be more aware of. Um, there's even a section on census access. So that tool I mentioned a bit earlier, that we have in TCU, and it does two main things. So, and I had to create even videos for these. These were about converting documents into an MP3, an audio file. And then it also does this thing where you can upload like and maybe a photograph of a book, and then with that image of the page of the book, you can upload it, and through OCR, it will then convert that image of text into a Word document as well. So really powerful. So, and again, I don't know if student people are seeing this, but that's maybe habit of going to somewhere like a library to actually seek information is maybe not always there. So what I try to encourage students, if I'm spotting that behavior in a student, that I'll just say, have you tried an app, maybe like Seeing AI or Lookout, um, even, and to go to the library, and if you can't afford to photocopy, because that's actually becoming a barrier as well, students not being able to afford photocopying, that even if they photograph the pages that they want, the app itself, like Seeing AI or Lookout, can actually read out that text within the photograph as well. So, and these are two free apps as well, and I highly recommend them. So if you're seeing, if you're trying to get students to interact more in the library, um, definitely to like explore those two apps. Sorry, and I just see two messages. Jana said, we have a dozen Glean seats in M2 My experience is that students really like the idea and the interface, but only a tiny majority continue to use it regular. Yeah, I see that kind of thing as well. Yeah. So I have to do kind of emails maybe about every 2 weeks to students, and within that, I give them options so they can meet me online to get a quick tutorial. Some come to me that way. I also have a video about how to get started with Glean that I've made myself that covers the majority of the tips. Some students see that way as well. There's some students who just won't buy into it, unfortunately, when it's too late. Um, because even we had a first year student who was given access to Glean, and unfortunately he never accessed. And then he showed me how his note taking went, and he would use Google Docs in his personal Gmail for some notes. He'd use Google Docs in his DCU email for other notes, and then he would handwrite some of his notes as well. So about two-thirds of the way into the year, he was showing me this, and it was just all his notes were everywhere. And I even asked him, like, does it make sense to you? And it didn't make sense to him. And then so I was looking into setting him up on Glean, and I found that he had already been set up for Glean in September. So it was really unfortunate. So again, he was a student who I came back to. So because what I'm realizing is some of the barriers to Glean is students sometimes are so used to things being like complicated and awkward with technology that they won't even try it. And then it's not until I actually have them in with me beside me and I literally show them how easy it is to get started. Suddenly it's like a revelation that something actually is that it, like, we're not trying to trick students. It's like, it's actually that easy to get set up. I'm finding that's one of the barriers to students using Glean as well. Greg saying we've tried Glean with 5 learners. There was very low engagement with software. Yeah, like it definitely there's an art to getting people to use it. But the fact that Glean can be used on your smartphone or a laptop at least gives people choice. And the app version has improved a lot, especially over the last year. So might be worth repursuing that if that's possible. Then Sonia said students type in lectures occasionally. Yeah, most look at their laptops in class, at slides, add some notes in the slides. Okay, if they're adding notes in slides, that's really good, which is a way of engaging. Some find it hard to listen. Yeah, absolutely, Sonia. Yeah, some find it hard to listen and take notes at the same time, and we are getting that as well. So that's why we brought in Glean. So at least you can have your notes and your audio in the same place. Now it does a lot more, but for those kind of students, we're finding great success with those ones. Um, Learners are time poor. Yeah, they have so much focus on sometimes technology that seem too complicated can be too much. I guess. Yeah, no, Daniel, I totally agree. Some tech, yeah, is definitely a little bit complicated, and some is very easy and straightforward. So, for example, we have even like an Irish spelling and grammar tool, which is great. But what we're finding is part of the ways to access the online spelling and grammar tool is they have to log in with their Google account. And what we're finding is for some reason that students are loving Macs, which is great. Mac laptops are really powerful, but they end up sticking with Safari on it and never thinking about Chrome at all. So when we do get these students who need the Irish spelling and grammar supports, they tend not to engage me in the first place, so I can give them access to it remotely. And then we find that they just, because they don't have Chrome set up and they haven't logged into their GCU Google account on their Chrome account, that becomes a barrier. So they either don't pursue it or at least come back to me. So I target specific emails at them because I'm aware of that kind of challenge with them. Yeah. But yeah, finding the barriers to the using of the AT is becoming like a big thing, and the barriers can be different for different technologies. And then trying to find that right message in the email to communicate with those students about what a potential barrier is, and then get them to act on it, is really turning into a key challenge. Um, Okay, if they add assisted technology to existing slides notes, that I mean, yeah, Sonia, that's really powerful. Like, I would love it if, yeah, there was like an audio recording tool within PowerPoint. Yeah, because then it would change. It would be a game changer. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And then Jana said, wealthier students with iPads can add recordings while handwriting with slides and apps like GoodNotes and Notion. Yeah. But what works for students is very individual. And that's also an amazing question. Jean, I totally agree with you. Like, one of the cohorts of students that I have are either blind students and low vision students, and each of them are totally different about what devices they like, their preferences, their even attitudes and behaviors to technology. Some use screen readers, some partially use screen readers, some don't use screen readers, some use an iPad, some don't, some would hate the idea of using anything Apple or Mac related, and then some really want to use it. So they are they're a whole different cohort in terms of choice. So for me, they really encapsulate that notion that there's really no one size fits all, which is great. But it's also then that time about exploring, well, what are the options that fit those students? That's the bit that maybe takes time. Um, Also, Keena said we have on campus learning hubs in Limerick and Clary TB Hub. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Yeah, yeah. We have an active library where inclusive tech can be trialed. Okay. We find that learners who need AT support need quite a lot of support. Yeah, initially. Okay, that's fair. But the results increase in confidence, remove barriers, and therefore less dropouts. Make that. Yeah. Um, Keen, that's amazing that you're having that much luck. Like, I have to admit, I'm a bit jealous. So definitely I would love to know what your secrets are about that. Like, obviously, whoever that team is in the library, obviously they know how to talk to the students. There's a clear message. There's obviously clear levels of support, which is amazing. Um, So I'd love to know, and as well as that, if you can even share what are some of those key strengths that you're having with that particular strategy, that's amazing. Yeah. So like, yeah, I I think that's amazing. Yeah, because then the students can just explore options. Okay. Yeah, like because even like I was thinking myself, like some of these free options, should I be developing a poster campaign or a social media campaign about generating awareness? So over the summer, I'm going to look at that more. But and I think it was actually from an ETB. I got this idea. It was Jeremy Wren from Kerry ETB who was telling me that they created like a poster thing, a poster series. And one in particular stood out. He was talking about immersive reader. So posters advocating for immersive reader. And he had like a QR code on the poster so students could access a video about learning how to use it. Like that for me was one of those kind of standout, like simple genius ideas about advocating, even just something small like immersive reader, and then how to like push it out to the wider community. So like there's definitely ideas out there. And what I love about the ETBs is that they, for me, are always really creative about how they go about these kind of situations. So yeah. Oh, a physical space where learners can drop in and actually meet someone who can demonstrate. Okay. Okay. Amazing. Cool. Yeah, like okay. That's amazing. Okay, so I'd love to talk about that one for ages now, but I'm going to try to focus because we're got 50 minutes left. Uh, So we've looked at the Dropbox file. So you have the option of these SCORM files or these H5P files that are right there. You can download them individually if you want. So click on the three dots, click on download, easy peasy. There we are. There's our lovely download. Um, what we can do then is I'm in our Moodle platform that we call Loop, and we have H5P added in our own Moodle platform. So if you don't have it, um, this hopefully 5 minutes left. Okay. So what we do, so when, sorry, I just clicked through that very quickly. So I'm in a tile where, like tiles exist in your LMS where you can add resources, activities. So in this tile, which is tile 17, I click on the add activity or resource that's under the tile title. And then when I add an activity, I can either go to all and I can see all the different types of activities that we have. I can star them. So in this case, I've starred the H5P one. So that means I just get a much simpler view. So if you don't have H5P in your platform, then this icon won't be available. So contact your administrator. So I click on H5P and this changes. So here we have our H5P editor. So I can click on create content or do the shortcut methods, click on upload, click upload file, and there we go. I've clicked on one of the H5P files that I downloaded from Dropbox. Select use. There we go. So there's all my options. So this is the welcome page. So I can go in here and I can explore the content. So if you're new to H5P, it takes a little while to get accustomed to it. So try not to think you're going to become like an expert on how to navigate the pages. But I've made the H5P files in a way where literally I've made one page and each page is a template. Um, so to help people kind of use it so they don't have to like start from scratch using it. So there's what are called text boxes, and these are at the top. So that's your kind of introduction. And then when I go down, I am specifically using this hotspot option. So if you remember, I have three hotspots, one for text, one for images and text, and one for video. So here I have my background image uploaded. I can select where my hotspot is. So I can even upload my icon of my hotspot. Here I've placed the hotspot just above the icon. And then I can add another text box. So this reveals the text when it's selected. I can also add another hotspot, but in this case, I don't. I'm just having one at the starter because I'm trying to acculturate people to this idea that hotspots are there and what happens when they click on them. And then I can click and save and display. So when we click on this, hopefully it will come about. There we go. Okay. So right now I'm still in edit mode, but if I want to see it from the student-ish type experiences, there we go. I can go here. And then I can enlarge the screen if I want, because H5P allows that. So that's my welcome page. Here's where I just inform students when it's the first time using it that we have hotspots, that we select that. The image just reveals really, really quickly. Unfortunately, there isn't an option to slow that down. I would love it if there was, because that is a bit too fast for me. And then there's an option then, another page, which is then starting to explore those three hotspots and what they all do. So even up here, I'm trying to draw the student's attention to this yellowness, the yellow hotspots. So the first one is text, easy peasy. Second one is text on the image, where I just basically explain how the whole thing works. And the last one is a video, and I just make my own videos. I literally, because I'm on a Mac, I can do screen recording. So I've used no fancy software to make the videos. Easy peasy. I put the videos then in YouTube. I make my closed captions because I have a number of students who are either deaf or hard of hearing. So we can be as inclusive as possible. And then I even talk a little bit about UDL, and students can learn about UDL through either text, image and text, or a lovely UDL video from ahead telling them all about UDL. So that message about choice and assistive technology being embedded, how this tool is great because of that, is amazing. So to add to the other score files, again, it's the very same approach. We go to edit mode, and you just do it as you did with the last one. And these are all editable, and you can copy them and take time to explore them, because if you're, again, new to H5P, they do a lot. There's a lot of choice and a lot of options about what you can do with it. So definitely take your time. And then if you want, the H5P website has webinars about how to use H5P. Again, really useful from exploring it. And there's loads of resources from the H5P website about, different files you can download as well. So, and I'll just share that in this. So thanks very much. Explore the files, download them. If you've got Moodle, Brightspace, or any kind of H5P editing tool, or even if you have it web-based, please let me know, because I'm definitely really interested to see if this is web-based. But thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, just email me at trevor.boland.ie. Okay, or .dcu. Sorry, .ie. Where did that come from? Okay. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Trevor. That was such an interesting thing. I mean, it's always so interesting to hear you talk, and you're always very, very knowledgeable. One thing I will mention is I might have a chat with you about web-based H5P, because I have a few little tricks up my sleeve for that.
Oh, really? Okay. Anything that makes it really easy to sell to the team who oversee like websites in an organization in
Hmm.
particular? Yeah, because
Yeah.
that would be amazing. Okay. No, thanks so much, Danielle. Okay.
Thanks,
Um,
Trevor. We really enjoyed it. It was another wonderful session. So much information in the chat too, so much back and forth, which is really what we like. And a whole lot of thank yous and compliments to you as always. Safe to
sure.
say we miss you out ahead, Trevor.